Hey guys, Steebler. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Tier 4 destroyers for the upcoming ranked season number 2. We're going to be talking about which ones I think will be doing well, which ones not so well. Most of you guys are probably thinking Kamikaze, no contest, drop mic, video's over. You can see on the screen though we got the Farragut, and we'll talk about why. I do want to point out for those of you that are paying attention to the game in the background, this game I put on here because it shows the strengths really well and the weaknesses really well. And the strengths will be kind of, we'll talk about them more here in a minute, but the early, probably first half, first two-thirds, capturing objectives, killing destroyers. That's what it's going to be good at. And then the weakness is kind of at the end. When you're out of smokes, you're fighting cruisers and battleships. That's out of all these destroyers is going to have the hardest time in that situation, at least in most cases. But anyway, why I'm picking the Farragut, you need to think about ranked, what it actually is. Ranked games are won and lost by capturing objectives, and you know it's going to come down to actually playing the domination mode game about 80% of the time. At least that's what I've found in my matches. A lot of games that should have been won, at least in terms of ship count, completely blown away just by neglecting to play the objectives. Now at Tier 4, out of the destroyers that are available, the only one that's really good at capturing and controlling objectives is the Farragut. It's outstanding firepower. The Farragut can shred any of these destroyers at this tier. None of the other destroyers have the sonar, so there's no bing bong going on. There's no counter play to the USN destroyers. The main natural counter to the USN destroyers is the smoke/sonar combo employed by British and German destroyers, at least currently. And because that threat's not there, the primary threat to the Farragut, maybe we'll see it, not so much in this match, but rushing Königsbergs, I think Omaha sonar, those, the cruisers at Tier 4 that have the sonar, their kind of job is going to be to counter spot these caps. Like, let's say I was getting sonar right now in the smoke, I'd be forced to get out of here and flee. If not, the team should be able to kill me, at least in theory. So that's going to be kind of the main counter to the Farragut. But in terms of, you know, contesting other destroyers, this thing will be able to kick the crap out of any of them. If you're running Halsey with twist and track, which is how I run it, you can see that little rainbow-shaped white line on the screen. That's telling you the position of the nearest ship. That enhances your ability to hunt these destroyers down. And with the guns on this thing, it will kick the crap out of any other destroyer. So Kamikaze, I got Kamikaze number 2, both because it is probably actually number 2, and I do have respect for the ship. Kamikaze is, tier for tier, one of the best torpedo boats, if not the best, in the game. Spits them out like mad. You know, those of you that own the ship or played against it, great camo, just an extreme torpedo threat. They have very fast torpedoes. They reload about every 2 or 3 seconds. So it's just a constant stream of deadly torpedoes in the water with the Kamikaze. And if this was a capture the base mode season, which I guess it could be, I think it should be the same format though, the domination. But then if it was capture the base, the Kamikaze would definitely be reigning supreme. The capture the base mode games are much more open and much less predictable for how the ships are operating. Capturing domination objectives though, the Kamikaze, except for in the hands of extremely skilled players, is not going to be all that effective at it. Horrible guns, better than the Mutsuki, but that's like saying that, you know, the Mutsuki probably has the worst guns in the game, at least out of any of the tiers. Tiers 3 and up, I guess. But Kamikaze, you know, the problem people are going to have with it is what it excels at, getting behind lines and killing battleships, is kind of the least important thing to do in ranked modes. Ranked is all about spotting the enemy, killing their eyes, i.e. their destroyers, killing their support ships, i.e. the cruisers, and then capturing and controlling those objectives. Battleships cannot capture and control objectives against anything if that's the last class standing. So assuming you have cruisers or destroyers left on your team, all they have is battleships, and you lose that game, it's 100% your team's fault for not controlling those objectives. So anyway, the Kamikaze, good destroyer, but for domination mode, it's not as strong as the Farragut, at least in my opinion. Next up, I would put the T22 in there. Again, like I stated earlier, there's no sonar in the T22. It's a pretty decent torpedo boat slash gunboat hybrid. Out of the entire German destroyer line, this was my least favorite one, but I think it'll perform decently in this format. You got 7.5 range in the torps. Detectability on mine is 5, so you do have some room to stealth torpedo with this ship comfortably. The Acosta, which I would rank next, you have 6 kilometer range compared to 5.4 detectability on my build. With a little room to get, you can get that detectability down if you run double concealment. But anyway, these two ships, they're both kind of hybrid torpedo, mainly torpedo boats with a touch of gunboat to them. I don't think either of them are that effective, though. They'll be getting their asses kicked by Farraguts in a straight-up one-on-one DD fight. And the torpedo power doesn't really compare with the Kamikaze, or even the Mutsuki for that matter. So, decent options. It's not gonna surprise me to see players running these ones well out there. But I think behind the Farragut and the Kamikaze, at least in my rankings for sure. Now, the T22 out of these two having the better torps, at least in terms of the range to detectability combo, which I think is going to be important for Tier 4 destroyers. In terms of the guns, though, I'd give the edge to the Acosta. You have a 3% more fire chance. AP damage is essentially the same. I got 100 HP difference per max AP shell strike on my builds. HE damage, however, goes to Acosta by about 500, and both of these ships should be firing HE a lot. The German destroyers, I like to shoot a lot of AP into broadside targets, including battleships, but some of these Tier 4 battleships are really meaty and they're kind of hard to pen. And I don't play T22 a whole lot just because I'm not a huge Tier 4 fan, but I don't think it's gun caliber slash AP penetration chance compared to those meaty battleships at this tier is that effective. So I think the primary shell for both of these should be HE, and of course the HE on the British is much better than the German destroyers. So you can really flip the Acosta to T22 back and forth depending on how exactly you're going to plan on running them. If you're going to focus on kind of counter DD operations, the Acosta would probably have the advantage. If you're going to focus more on torpedo support roles, the T22 between those. Next up, I'd put the Mutsuki. This is a good, strong torpedo threat. It's kind of like a Kamikaze, but with worse torpedoes, in that it's about just shy of a 20-second difference. I think it's like a 17 or 18-second difference. The Kamikaze reloading faster, that is. So quite a bit of an edge there. Speed of the torps goes to the Kamikaze. Damage to the torps goes slight advantage to the Mutsuki, so at least on my build. And range a little bit better on the Mutsuki. So there's some advantages to the Mutsuki, but the Kamikaze just kind of gets the nod by the insane reload on those torps. So Mutsuki, again, I'm putting this towards the bottom of the list because I don't think these Japanese destroyers are made. The play style they afford is not really what you need to be focusing on these Tier 4 or ranked battles in general, I guess. I might be wrong. Well, there's always a chance once the rank starts up I'll be surprised by it, but I just don't see these ships doing as well as people expect they're probably going to be doing. Finally, we got the Gremyashchy. This ship I did not expect to see at all. They actually just announced a campaign for the ship, a mini campaign that starts on Monday. So people could actually potentially buy this if they wanted to skip the campaign and get in, which could theoretically increase the visibility of the ship. What it's designed to do, though, I don't think really translates to ranked very well. It's kind of a mini light cruiser that shoots long range shells, and long range destroyer fights, like fight into Mayhem at 10 kilometers, the advantage would be to the Gremyashchy. But close quarters, the Gremyashchy cannot handle destroyer fights very well at all. Horrible turret traverse, like probably the worst at any destroyer that we currently have. And just limitations along those lines really limit its ability to contest caps, hunt for DDs, etc. It's more of a longer range support ship, and I think that's probably going to be how the Soviet destroyers play in general, but this is the only one we currently have. So again, there's going to be more people that own the Gremyashchy, and they might want to try it out in ranked, because they'll probably just have gotten the ship. But in terms of actual performance, I don't think the Gremyashchy is going to be rising to the top of the pack. We'll see how that goes. That's going to do it for this one, though. If you did like the video, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. Let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking, what you think is going to perform well in this ranked season, and we'll see y'all later. Alright, peace.